There are people on the internet, even in the church safety sphere, that really like to talk about how to spot a Hezbollah sleeper cell in your church and, is ISIS coming for your church this weekend? The average church in the U.S. is 200 people. I submit to you that if you can't spot a Hezbollah sleeper cell in your church of 200 people, you're probably in the wrong serve team. You should probably try parking. So while we're doing training at different churches and even among our own team, we get questions, and some of the questions are really worth sharing with you all. So we thought we would go over a couple of the more recent questions that have come up and how we responded to them. The first one that we both had recently was, with all the events that just have happened recently, are you guys doing anything different?
Yeah, and obviously my answer changes depending on who the person is. I had an elder at my church ask me this, and I said, not exactly. Everything that has been going on, we cover in our policy and procedures. He then asked for more specific details on certain procedures, and I had to kind of navigate through that. We ended up doing a short training to kind of spin up on that exact event to kind of appease the elders. But everything was covered in the training. And then even on a broader scope, we know that our policies, if it's in the sanctuary, we get it out into the foyer. If it's in the foyer, out to the parking lot. And once it's in the parking lot, we get it off our property or hand it off to another agency or even if it's a medical situation, we want to get them out the door into EMS. So even if we just apply that to any situation, we can at least be moving in the right direction. We don't need specifics on, this type of blue-haired dyed protester with this particular wordage on their sign. What do we do with that individual? Yeah. So same thing we do with, the guy with a turban and, is yelling Allah Akbar, is get him out.
Yeah, we've had the same question come up, and we were doing a training at another church this past weekend, and that came up. Hey, is there any sites that we can go to see where... This was a legitimate question. Is there a site I can go to find out where sleeper cells are located? No, there's not, because if the government knows the sleeper cell's there, they go and take care of that, and then there's no more sleeper cell. But on a bigger view, there are people on the internet, even in the church safety sphere, that really like to talk about how to spot a Hezbollah sleeper cell in your church and, is ISIS coming for your church this weekend? The average church in the U.S. is 200 people. I submit to you that if you can't spot a Hezbollah sleeper cell in your church of 200 people, you're probably in the wrong serve team. You should probably try parking. But really what it comes down to is, I've worked for the government, you've worked for the government. We don't necessarily think the government gets it right every time, but if the government knows that there is a specific threat to your church or to churches in your area, somebody wearing an FBI windbreaker will come and talk to you. Or in our case, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, or our Sheriff's Department, or the City Police Department, but somebody will come and talk about it. We will not find it surfing the internet on, some declassified document, and we're going to find out that all of a sudden we're a target this weekend.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, cover your basics. If your basics are covered, you are in good shape. You're far ahead of most people.
Yeah. So another question, and this comes up a lot when incidents like these start to happen as well, is someone comes up to you on a weekend and says, hey, Alan, how many of your guys are packing heat right now?
Yeah, I love that question. So, my thought process is, if you should know that answer, you already know that answer. If you don't know that answer, you probably don't need to know. But our polite way of saying it, we direct our team members to say, we're prepared for a lot of different eventualities, and If they really push that, they really want a specific answer, I have them send them to me, and then I will politely tell them it's none of their business. It's one of those things. It's not a secret what we do. This isn't, some big undercover, secret organization, but you just don't need to know everything. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. And so we simply don't tell them.
Yeah.
We're polite about it, but we don't answer the question.
Yep. No, same answer here is we're equipped to handle an array of situations. And then I leave it at that. And they can think I'm carrying the AK-47 down my pant leg for all I care, as long as they leave me alone.
Fair enough.
Coffee's this way.
So another question that we get sometimes is people come up and they're like, hey, I'd like to help you guys out, but I'm not into guns. I don't have a concealed weapons license. I'm not a martial artist. And, can I still help out on the team?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, even in the military, I know most of the military is trained on firearms, but come on.
Once a year.
Yeah. But, we had the concept that every airman was a sensor. And I kind of applied that to my safety team as well. You don't need to carry a gun. You just need to know what to look for and who to tell. Honestly, the amount of times I've had to use my firearm in church are exactly 0. The amount of times I've had to de-escalate a situation or provide medical care or just pray over someone who is having a rough day has happened far more often. So I need someone who can do those things more than, carry a firearm and hopefully shoot it enough to be competent. Yeah,
and I mean, everybody doesn't need to be that guy. I was telling you a story recently. A volunteer that we both worked with for years. We were having a range day, and I was like, hey, just so you know, we're having a range day, if you want to come out and hang out with us. And he's just like, hey, I'm not that guy. He's a great safety team member. He's observant, he's faithful, he comes when he's on the schedule and shows up on time, and he knows what to look for and he knows who to tell. He just doesn't carry a gun. That's fine. That's what we need. We need somebody that knows what they're doing, that shows up when they're on the schedule and isn't 20 minutes late. So if he's not that guy, that's okay. And a lot of times you get people that want to join your team that think they are that guy, and they're not. So I would rather have a guy who recognizes, hey, this is what I bring to the team, and is realistic about it, than a guy that's, got some dirty, hairy thoughts going on in his head.
Yeah, and I always go back to the church shooting in Colorado Springs, where there was 2 unarmed safety team members present during that shooting who kept the hallway clear of all the kids and volunteers. I would say that they did more work to save lives than the safety team member who was having a shootout, mostly because he was vastly ungunned. But he was still having a shootout with the shooter. But those 2 unarmed safety team members saved, 30 to 50 lives, depending on how many kids and volunteers were in that hallway. You don't need to have a gun to protect a life.
Yeah, and we always say that in an event like an active shooter or active violence situation, everybody has a job. Everybody has a job, whether it is getting people to safety, whether it's keeping people from going into an area where they're going to be unsafe, whether it's medical aid, whatever that is, everybody's got a job. And that's not just safety. That's when we start talking about integrating other teams into your emergency plan. Your ushers and greeters, your parking team, your kids volunteers, even your production team. They all need to know what's going to happen if that day comes. So getting them all on the same plan makes them all feel more confident, gives you the additional help, and you're not going to have to train them up when you really need them.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that was just a couple of things that have come up with us in the past week or two that we thought might be worth sharing. So, if you got any value out of it, like, share, subscribe, do all the things down there. There's some links in the notes that can help you get some resources. And subscribe, and we'll have some more videos coming your way. So stay safe.